Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames and OGPay.com, we have returning contributor Paul Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Soames. And today we're chatting with Dorothy Anderson, Managing Director of Hospitality Solutions at ORGANO. Have you heard of them? Well, Travala is an ORGANO subsidiary and the source for fantastic travel with fantastic deals. They are a member-only platform, and they're going to provide you with access to the industry's wildest and most diverse array of leisure, lifestyle, and travel benefits, from luxury resort condos to specifically negotiated pricing on cruise, tour, and mini vacations to the very best prices on over 1,000 hotels worldwide. They've literally got it all, but it's just for their members. And this could come in handy right about now. Think of them as your community-driven hospitality technology company. Are you going on vacation this summer? Well, everybody seems to be. Welcome to the revenge travel economy. And as summer travel season heats up, it's becoming harder and harder for airlines to keep up with demand, because no phenomenon can be real until it can be hashtagged. And as we've seen it all come together, the travel industry has been quickly picking up. And now the brand impulse to driving tourists this summer is hashtag revenge travel. Like revenge spending, the phrase refers to consumers' increased willingness to cough up cash after almost 30 long months of restrictions. And in travel's case, that means a demand for vacations that are more frequent, more indulgent, and more than anything, far from home. That demand got a boost on June 13th of this year when the US stopped requiring a negative COVID-19 test for entry. But as it rises to and even surpasses its pre-pandemic levels, a host of challenge from inflations to war to, yes, the lingering threat of COVID-19 coming back, cast a shadow on the rosy predictions of a roundabout. Will this summer be the one that really defines it all? Well, the truth is that tourism is rebounding very, very quickly. And according to the president of the European Travel Commission, which represents the continent's national tourism organizations, he says we are headed one direction, and it's up. Here to chat revenge are Paul and Dorothy. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Absolutely. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Dorothy. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Welcome back, Paul. All right, Dorothy, at this juncture, revenge travel looks to be off to a good start. Among Europeans, 70% are planning vacation trips between now and November. And the numbers are almost as strong among Americans, with 65% planning leisure trips within the next 6 months. Now, we have very strong statistics from MasterCard. Bookings on short and medium haul flights have surpassed pre-pandemic levels. And travel searches, Dorothy, for the first quarter of 2022 were above their 2019 levels, according to Google. And an interesting thing that really caught my attention was passport appointments jumped 300% in the first 3 months of this year. What do you say to these statistics, and how are you guys getting ready to meet these high demands?
Well, the numbers don't lie, as we say. And certainly, I think I myself may have contributed to those numbers. I have been searching. And it is revenge travel. Yeah, COVID fatigue has set in, and we now want to go out, explore places. We find that individuals are also interested in wanting to learn about different cultures. So you find that travel is now outside of just North America. I mean, here in Jamaica, we have so many North American tourists who are traveling, be it by air or by sea. And what I can say then is that I see the numbers increasing, let us say month over month. It's not going to stop for now. And at Travala, we are getting ready for this. We are prepared for it. And we are even further improving on the services that we have to offer our members.
And, pent-up demand is already delivering rapid growth. It's really driven by excess savings accumulated during the period when people couldn't spend or travel as usual. So definitely, this is going to really kind of be a defining moment in travel history. Paul, those extra savings that we're talking about are affecting not only the amount of travel people are undertaking, but the kind of travel as well. So after decades of appealing to budget travelers with low-cost flights and party buses, many European destinations are emerging from the pandemic with a new emphasis on upscale travel. And a lot of enterprises, big and small, have spent the past 2 years really renovating their facilities upgrading, investing in the hospitality industry, and really adapting to the new needs of the customer. How important do you think fintech is to the travel industry, and are there any apps out there to help mitigate high currency conversion fees while one is abroad?
Yeah, great questions. And I think that first of all, Dorothy and her team, just I have to put a note on this. Their company is in our portfolio. We invested in them back in 2018. Great team, great people, doing great things with technology. Dorothy's team with the hospitality brands are doing fantastic things. And what I really think they do the best is they were smart. They're good business people. They took that same lull that you're talking about, people, pent up revenge travel, and they have extra money now because they didn't spend it then, so they spend it now. What ORGANO did with their brands, with their getaway portal and their Forever Weeks, is they took that technology, and since the travel industry, traveling itself was not happening, they took that time, that 18 months, 2 years, and they rebuilt, they upgraded, they made more advances into blockchain and using and integrating fintech-based solutions into their platforms, so that now things that like inventory, curating travel and inventory aggregation on blockchain, and things that were previously reserved, like timeshare, the ORGANO Travala, the Forever Weeks platform they have. It is absolutely giving access to people to experiences, longer term stays, like a week at a time, to people that were previously reserved just for the timeshare players. And then you have also their getaway portal, giving discounts and access to curating travel. And then tying in the fintech solutions, as you mentioned, without people being able to book and then spend going forward with the OG Pay platform that's integrated there, without having to deal with FX, foreign exchange fees, or foreign currency conversion fees when they travel, and being able to use a card in that country's currency, euro or rand or whatever it might be. So I think it's just a full circle approach to things, but I think they do a nice job of addressing today's current market conditions.
I love it. And it's all on one platform. So that's even better, because it's the same ecosystem that you learn to love and trust and go to for all your vacation needs with a great fintech app. Dorothy, we're seeing a lot of more multi-destination trips and a lot more multi-generational ones. People are traveling to celebrate milestones, and they want to bring their grandparents, so to speak. And after all that time that we've been saying, stuck at home with nothing to do except stream Netflix, travelers are really eager to, for the experience. I prefer to call it liberation travel rather than revenge travel. But there's an increase in people wanting to stay in independent hotels, and they're looking for more authentic experiences as well. Why do you feel this is the case, and how are you catering to this at Travala?
Okay, great. That's a good question, Zen. And I think that what is happening, as you rightly say, you have this multi-generational travels taking place. I think a part of it had to do with being cooped up at home for quite a while with your relatives. The bond is even stronger now, and you find that the Gen Z, they love their grandparents. They want to be seen out with them. It has to do with also the social changes that are taking place in society, and we are definitely going to be taking advantage of that. We are going to be capitalizing on that. Another thing too is the desire to learn about different cultures, and so you find that travelers now, not saying that the all-inclusive is no longer appealing. There's still a market for that, but you find that travelers now want to stay with independent properties and explore and have an experience. #experience.
Yes,
that's what I think is happening. Yeah.
It's all about hashtags. Paul, let's talk a little bit about inflation and staff shortages, right? Because inflation and staff shortages is the twin-headed monster threatening the travel recovery this summer. There are clear signs inflation is definitely starting to bite. We're beginning to see travel intentions start to erode slightly, particularly among travelers making less than $100,000 a year. Do you see all of tourism's summer gains wither away by the end of this quarter? And if so, perhaps, can this open up a parallel market for blockchain to provision that global inventory of suppliers like hotels and excursion companies and airlines and even Airbnbs to really mitigate the shortfalls? What do you say to this?
I think if start with the end in mind, I think blockchain's already there with companies that are both innovative, upwardly disruptive, and then like Dorothy and her group use that upward disruption for the purpose of transforming how people think about how they interact with travel and travel experiences. It's already there. It allows interesting curation. It allows for a company like the Travel experience with Forever Weeks and so forth. It allows them to tie into direct contracts with suppliers. You mentioned 1,000 hotels. That's 1,000 hotel groups, not 1,000. 1,000. It's a million hotels around the world, right, in their platform. And so, very interesting how that can really create degrees of efficiency in their own sort of, as you sort of were alluding to, its own sort of little interesting, unique economy. That's a travel-oriented economy. To your other question about and your mention of inflation and the impact on the industry overall, I was recently in Istanbul, in Turkey, and I noticed, I talked to everyone. So I was talking to the lady cleaning my suite, and I was just having a conversation with her. She spoke English, and she was telling me one thing that I found very interesting. She says, it's so tough, the economy, because Turkey's hyperinflated, right? Has been for quite a while. The problem, she said, is that, I have a job, but the staff here, everybody stays employed. There's still like 100% employment. The problem is they went from 40 hours a week. She only works 1 day a week. So she's still employed, but the same amount of people working many, many less hours. Yeah. I went to Johannesburg, South Africa, in a hotel there. Nice hotel, no problem. Same thing. Same staff, just working dramatically reduced hours. So I don't know that that's going to be the way it's dealt with in other economies, other countries, and so forth. But there are ways that the travel industry tends to adapt and adjust. If you go through the ups and the downs, the peaks and the valleys over the decades, you'll find that when it's down, but it's never down forever. It always comes back. Because people love to travel, as you've mentioned, and Dorothy said. Look, people want to have these experiences. They want to get away.
Yes, they do. And with that notion, we are out of time. And I wanted to thank the both of you for coming on. Paul, always a pleasure chatting with you. Dorothy, thank you so much for piping in here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Paul, thank you so much.
Pleasure, Zen.
All right, guys, that was our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames and OGPay.com. That was Dorothy Anderson, Managing Director of Hospitality Solutions at Organo. You guys have to head to Travala.com and check out the amazing offers they have. It's a members-only website that I am part of. It's a great platform. You have to check out the exclusivity and all the great perks. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams, welcoming back to our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames. We have our returning contributor, Paul Caldwell, CEO and chairman of Caldwell Soames. Welcome back, my friend.
Hi, Zen.
All right. Now let's keep talking about revenge travel here. So interesting stat, while only 7% of travelers had really expressed concern about inflation and costs affecting their vacations back in 2021, it's slightly up now, Paul, 13%. And when you look at staffing shortages are cutting into services across Europe. Many hotels have responded by automating some aspects like check-in and trimming once routine benefits like daily room cleaning leaning, but perhaps nowhere is the impact of the shortage of travelers clearer than in the scenes and chaos emerging from airports across Europe and the United States. Flight cancellations, long waits for baggage that frequently fails to appear altogether, excruciating lines through security. It's become almost a headache to travel. But most industry insiders are feeling optimistic about the months ahead of them despite this chaos. And even more than revenge, that may be due to another pandemic generated emotion, Paul, resilience. So you hear things like, oh, people are valuing experiences over Rolexes. And I think that it's the reality right now. People are putting their money into experiences. What do you say to this? And how at Travala are they catering to this?
Well, I'm quite bullish on travel long term. So I'd be long travel. I mean, because the travel industry always responds. But it's a slow to pivot situation because it's a demand driven business, completely demand driven. And so while the suppliers are there, the hotels are still there, the airlines are still there, the cruise ships are still available. I mean, these things are there, but if the demand's not there, like anything else, it really doesn't matter. But the travel industry is more demand driven than many others, where you can create your own sort of economies. It's really demand driven. So you see a lot of technology innovation going on in the travel space right now. You see a lot of new business model innovation going on in the travel business. You now see companies like Singapore Airlines cross-selling Malaysia Air, not just making it available on their website as an alternative or something, but actually cross-selling other airlines on their own sites because it gets people tied into their website, tied into their network, to their booking engine, right? And because it's tied into their booking engine, then they get access to that metadata. Well, not the personal identifiable information necessarily, but the metadata that would otherwise have just lived on a competitor's website or a booking engine website, an independent booking engine website. So I like the companies like what they're doing at ORGANO with their Travala platform and their Getaway portal and their Forever Weeks, because they've used technology to be able to curate experiences that give people access to the discounts, for example, or the types of stays that were previously reserved only to people that paid for a $30,000-$40,000 timeshare. You don't have to do that you don't have to do that anymore. Going in and curating, like you said, high-end experiences as well, right? I mean, going in and being able to curate a high-end experience for you and your friends to go stay on Lake Como in a beautiful home at maybe $20,000 a week. But what if it's 25 bedrooms in that place? I mean, geez, is it worth $1,000 a week to have that experience with all your friends and family?
Right.
I mean, I think that's really the driver. And the second thing is, we're talking about right now, people want to get away and have fun and all that. Business travel, the impact of all of the economy right now on business travel, it is substantial. And things like Zoom, streaming platforms, Microsoft Teams, these wonderful, let's get together on our computer and our phone and all that right now. We don't have to fly to get there. Historically, Cisco created its entire telepresence solution, and HP had a telepresence solution so that businessmen and ladies, women, business people could just talk to each other. Now, not so much. I mean, right now, those companies are saying, wait a minute, we don't have to travel to have this. We can have an entire event streamed online.
Yeah.
Now, look at what this thing called metaverse.
Yeah.
It almost gives me a headache every time somebody says metaverse. But the reality is when you can put 10,000 people in an environment, an immersive environment that doesn't require VR, it doesn't require an Oculus, but it's an immersive environment nonetheless. And I could stream that up on my big screen TV here in my office, and I can be part of that without having to get on a plane and go there and do all of that and really have a great experience. that's a game changer.
Game changer. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, it's always a pleasure having you. I love chatting with you because I just get lost in my thoughts and start to ideate about more things to even talk about. So we could keep going on forever. But I thank you for coming on and more importantly, enlightening us with so much knowledge that you're filled with.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I always enjoy it as well. Thank you, Zen.
Absolutely. Guys, check out Paul Caldwell. He trends on Twitter at Paul Caldwell. Make sure you check out ogpay.com, an amazing fintech solution for absolutely all of your needs, really from travel to your groceries to everything. I'm a huge fan. One of my favorite finds of the year. Now, after everything everyone's been through, there's not a ton of fear about the unknown anymore. At least that's my opinion. People know that if they're scheduled to go to London in October and for some reason London locks down or something, whatever, they know that we'll figure it out. And what you're seeing is what you're seeing renewed right now really is this sort of inherent mindset of flexibility, guys. Flexibility. And that is key to everything. I think the pandemic has taught us all to be a tad more flexible and tolerant. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to us by ogpay.com. That was Paul Caldwell. Make sure you check him out. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this. Definitely head to travala.com for all your travel needs.